Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of IHL and Film. I'm sorry for the long break that we've had in between. We've just been very, very busy. Of course, there's been this massive conflict that's taking place in Gaza at the moment. We thought that instead of looking at a movie or something, we can look at actual footage from events that are taking place in Gaza, and we've seen so much that emanates from there that we thought we'll have a look at some of the war crimes that are being committed as we speak, that are being committed, with impunity almost, and perhaps we can, assess them, give a preliminary assessment, because of course, you require proper investigations for a trial or in a case like that. But Aisha, what is the first video that we have here?
So this video that we have is of Israeli soldiers looting in occupied territory, which is something that we've seen quite a bit of, that even there were pictures from Israeli wives and girlfriends of IDF soldiers who showed jewelry and also makeup that had been looted from Palestinian women and being brought to them as kind of, the loot and plunder of war that you hear so much about. And the fact is that IHL does outlaw this, and it outlaws pillage, and it outlaws the looting in occupied territory in particular.
So I should, just before we go into the actual legal dimension of this and how the law prohibits this, let's have a look at the video, and also just note that these are videos that have been made by the IDF soldiers themselves, right? These aren't by Palestinians or by journalists or independent. These are by the soldiers themselves.
Yeah.
Please. Wow, so they're literally cutting into a safe in this video. And, so what does IHL say in such a situation? We've seen that this is, we're assuming that this is a Palestinian home. They have clearly, destroyed the surrounding area. They've destroyed the building. There's broken furniture everywhere. And they're now attempting to break into this safe.
Yeah, so the classical IHL example of this is stealing a loaf of bread in occupied territory. So if a soldier goes in, steals a loaf of bread in territory which has been occupied by its state, does that count as a war crime? IHL says no, it counts as a violation of IHL, but it doesn't amount to a war crime. So what does it mean for that to amount to a war crime? It has to be to the level of it being pillage, which means that there has to be violent and systematic appropriation by members of the armed forces of movable public or private property. Now, the wide-scale way in which this is being conducted, and the fact that it just astounds me the extent to which this is being broadcast into our homes. We haven't really seen war crimes being committed at this level before, where we have video and photographic evidence, and we saw that being played in front of the International Court of Justice also when it came to South Africa bringing its case against Israel. So the extent to which does this count as pillage, in the sense that it's violent and systematic, and it seems pretty systematic that you seem to be kind of doing this almost as a matter of policy. It's allowed, and that it has to have harmful consequences for the Palestinians. What are you going to have in a safe is probably very important property to you, in the sense of it's probably going to be jewelry, it's probably going to be your wealth amassed there in a safe, and they're breaking into that safe with impunity and without any care for the fact that they're being recorded while they do it.
Absolutely.
So to the extent that that counts as a war crime and it rises to the level of pillage, I think a strong case could be made.
Absolutely. And do you think that, the proceedings in, say, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, videos like this could be evidence that are used in the court for, prosecuting these war crimes?
Yeah, absolutely. And the ICC has opened up a portal to say that any videos that you have, please upload it onto that portal.
Wow.
And it is likely that they're going to be looking at TikToks of IDF soldiers breaking into a Palestinian family's house, a safe in their house. And the fact is that in terms of ICC jurisdiction, 2 years prior to October 7th, we had the pre-trial chamber say that Palestine counts as a state party to the Rome Statute, and so you have jurisdiction there, and the investigation is ongoing, which means that anything on that territory of that supposed state party to the Rome Statute is under the jurisdiction of the ICC. So anything a Palestinian national does, so October 7th would count also, and so would everything that they're doing now on Palestinian territory. This is in the Gaza Strip, so that would definitely come under the jurisdiction of the ICC.
Oh, absolutely, that's really helpful. And we've seen this one video, and this is not happening in a vacuum. We're seeing this as part of something that is a lot more widespread. We've seen videos of, as you mentioned, women's makeup that is being used. We've seen soldiers putting on women's underwear. In that context, which is vile and disgusting, and which honestly, if there was any other army in the world, would be soundly criticized by the international community.
And so many interesting Orientalist and colonial lenses there in the notion of being so interested in Palestinian women's lingerie, especially in such a modest culture and a culture which lauds modesty, which many Muslim cultures do, to then be like, oh, I am now surrounded by these women's lingerie and I can take it and give it home to my Israeli wife or girlfriend. I think there's so many layers to it that are vile on every level.
Absolutely, and it's an attempt at exposing Palestinians, what is done within the Palestinian home, within the privacy and protection of that home. This is another way of humiliating the Palestinian people and degrading them and dehumanizing them in a sense as well. So it's deeply disturbing to see this. But Aisha, thank you so much. I think this was a good, quick analysis of things that are happening in Gaza as we speak. We're really hoping that a ceasefire comes about soon. But again, Ramzan's right around the corner, and Netanyahu has said that we are still going to continue the operations during that.